creative quest is not a journey in search of the Holy Grail, but rather, I believe it is a quest to become the most free, authentic version of yourself and to finally be able to express your truth in such a way that your very essence and soul spills out into the world, bare, raw, and real. Welcome to Soul-Led Creative Women, a podcast for creatively curious women seeking rich, soul-led ways to look after themselves better. My name's Sam Horton, and in this episode, I'll take you behind the scenes into my own art practice as we explore the many complex and emotional layers of a larger creative project and how these help you tap into your own inner power and wisdom. My own creative practice is ever-changing, and it really beats to its own rhythm. Sometimes my art making looks like a quick 20-minute painting session in my sketchbook. Other times it looks like an indulgent 3-hour pencil sketch, just me, the pencil, and the paper. And at the other extreme, sometimes it looks like a large painting sitting on my easel for many months, waiting patiently for the next layers, the next splash of colour, texture, and light. I've recently been reflecting on the experience of creating those layers in paintings that take a little longer to come together. Individual experiences and layers that sing together in harmony in the finished piece, merged and morphed and hidden all loud. Every paint stroke, every touch, every creative action, decision, and risk. In today's episode, I want to unpick the elaborate richness of these lengthier creative experiences using my own experience with painting larger paintings. And so we must start at the beginning. It must always start with an idea, a spark of curiosity. The inspiration for paintings comes in all shapes and forms. But for me, it's through reflection of my work that the desire to explore new creative ideas is formed. I believe in the power of sitting with your work and letting it speak to you. It will not only give you information about your emotions, feelings, and experiences transferred into the artwork via your conscious and subconscious thoughts, feelings, beliefs, and perceptions, but it will also remind you of how you felt during the creative process, what felt good or what felt uncomfortable, how one idea morphed into a completely new one, and it will feed your curiosity about new creative beginnings or extensions of ideas from previous work. Sometimes you will resist these creative urges and niggles, dismissing them. But in my experience, if these creative desires are important, they will always find a way of resurfacing and coming back to you. And so looking at it this way, the creative journey is continual and ever-changing and ever-growing. I do not believe there is such a thing as creative utopia for an artist where everything is easy and so perfect you'd never want to change anything. I believe your art can always be improved or expanded on. The creative quest is not a journey in search of the Holy Grail, but rather, I believe it is a quest to become the most free, authentic version of yourself and to finally be able to express your truth in such a way that your very essence and soul spills out into the world, bare, raw, and real. I've spent my own time in creative jail, so to speak, as I dismissed the call to paint whimsy and make-believe and feminine energy, and instead focused my attention on more acceptable, commercial, and palatable themes. Truth be told, I am still very much in the thick of this phase, as I work to amalgamate and merge my work into more truthful and complete displays of the creative energy in my heart. From my experiences to date, I can tell you that through the painful period of releasing my marriage, for example, the only thing I wanted to paint was female portraits, grand, empowered displays of feminine energy and gentle power, strength, and resilience. My first large portrait, titled Moth Finds the Light, as I attempted to find my own inner strength and step into my own light throughout a hugely difficult period. My favourite piece from this time, titled Gentle Warrior, featuring a beautiful empowered goddess, complete with flower crown and floral details. The significance of these pieces took their time to come to the surface for me. And what may have been obvious to an outsider looking in, I was simply too close to my own personal experience to realise I was literally painting my emotions and desires onto the canvas. Once I have the idea, next comes the first paint strokes. I usually start by laying down an acrylic wash, like a watered down acrylic, over the entire base. And I do this for a number of reasons, but mainly because it creates efficiency as paint layers are not so absorbed into the surface, and you can create opaque effects more quickly. I actually do this for paper, wood, and for canvas. And this process also means that the surface is no longer bare, and that first paint stroke is much less intimidating. This is a really beautiful place to start. I actually see this as part of the intention setting period, gently easing into the painting ritual. Sometimes I lay down a loose sketch of the painting, and sometimes I don't. In my process, the next layers are very much mapping out the painting. For me, this involves creating outlines or background for various shapes and forms, people, flowers, large elements. This part requires a blend of intuition and technical skill. What I've learned over the years is that if I'm not happy with this layer, I won't be happy with the finished results. So I apply careful consideration and thought to proportions, movement, and presence. I can liken this part to the messy first draft. Rough but true. This is a really powerful stage as ideas start to become tangible and real. At the same time, I may feel excitement or joy, and other times may feel frustrated and off path. But there will always be elements of surprise and unexpected ahas. Persistence is the key for me here, and I have to trust that all will unfold as it's supposed to. In my work, I like to blend realistic representations together with more loose and intuitive work. As the painting evolves and new layers are added, one on top of the other, a contrast starts to appear between delicate, methodical components that are more like a meditation in action, but ultimately require little thought and simply are a job that needs to be done. In my paintings, this shows up in graphical components like gingham or stripes, or repetitive shapes and patterns, such as tiny leaves or blades of grass. In contrast, these happily sit next to other components that require more free, intuitive strokes and decisions. This part of the painting process does feel empowering and transformative, loose and carefree, but I have to be in the right mood for it. This can be seen in birds' feathers or loose florals or luscious hinterland hills. I love creating a balance between these two energies in my paintings. These both have a place in my creative heart. I've also learnt never to be scared to change direction or paint over something if I know it's the right thing to do. This knowing experience within my creative work gets stronger and stronger every time I paint. Tuning into this inner power is liberating and comforting as you truly learn to feel a sense of knowing and deep truth within your core. This is important to acknowledge, even if it doesn't make sense or if it means giving up something that you like in your work. There have been times when I've ignored this knowing, and I am never satisfied with the finished paintings when this happens. Using my creative practice to strengthen the knowing muscle within myself has been really empowering. Through my creative practice, I've learned to access this knowing more powerfully, and I'm able to tap into it in other areas of my life as well. As final details and strokes are added to my painting, I gradually start to experience a flood of satisfaction and reconciliation and release as I slowly work my way towards declaring the painting finished. And so then we return full circle to sitting with my finished creative work. There is great power in reflection and immersion in the tangible outcome of this creative process. And so the cycle begins again. I hope you enjoyed this episode. Take care. If you'd like to receive 3 actionable creative wellness tips personalized to your circumstances that you can implement easily straight away, head on over and take my free quiz at samhorton.co/quiz.